Chapter 17. What the Roman lady said. You may always be successful if you do but set out well, and let good thoughts and practice proceed upon right method. Marcus Aurelius. 55. The same wise Roman emperor who said this tells us a very pretty thing about his mother, which shows us what a wise lady she must have been, and how in the days of his manhood, with the cares of a great nation upon him, he yet pondered upon the childhood teaching of home. First, he speaks of his grandfather Verus, who, by his example, taught him not to be prone to anger, then of his father, the Emperor Antoninus Pius, from whom he learned to be modest and manly, then of his mother, whose name was Domitia Calvilla. Let us read some of his own words about her, dwelling particularly upon a few of them. He writes, As for my mother, she taught me to have regard for religion, to be generous and open-handed, and not only to forbear from doing anybody an ill turn, but not so much as to endure the thought of it. Now these words are the more wonderful when we remember that they were not taken down by a scribe in the pleasant apartments of the royal palace in Rome, but were written by the emperor himself on the battlefield, for this part of his famous book is signed, Written in the country of the Quadi. In our last talk on the hands we came to the conclusion that unless the hands were commanded they could not act. And on inquiring as to what gave these commands we found it was the thoughts. Many people believe it is perfectly safe to think anything, to have even evil thoughts in their hearts, for thoughts being hidden, they say, cannot be seen by others. But a strange thing about thought is this: the moment we have a thought, good or bad, it strives to get out of us and become an action. And it most always succeeds. Not at once, perhaps, for thoughts like seeds will often slumber a long time before they spring into life. So it becomes very clear to us that if we wish to be on the alert we must not watch our actions, but look within and guard the thoughts, for they are the springs of action. You now see, I am sure, how wise the emperor's mother was in teaching her boy not even to endure a thought to do evil unto others. For the thought would get stronger and stronger, and suddenly become an action. Certainly, and hence the first thing to learn in this talk is just these words. Thoughts become actions. That is an important thing. In a short time you will see that if you do not learn it you can never enjoy music, nor beautiful things, nor the days themselves. Let us see how this will come about. I have told your teacher, 56, the name of the book which was written by the Roman lady's boy. Well, in that book, running through it like a golden thread, is this bit of teaching from his mother. Not only did he think of it and write it on the battlefield, but at all times there seemed to come to him more and more wisdom from it. And he tells us the same thought over and over again in different words. Sometimes it leads him to say very droll things, for instance, Have you any sense in your head? Yes. Why do you not make use of it then? For if this does its part, for what more can you wish? 57 Then, a very good thought which we frequently hear. Your manners will very much depend upon what you frequently think. 58 There are many others, but these show us that the meaning of his mother's words went deep, teaching that not action must be guarded but the thought which gives rise to action. Now, what can be the value of speaking about the Roman lady? Let us see. In music, the tones are made either by the hands or by the voice. And to make a tone is to do something. This doing something is an action, and action comes from thought. No music, then, can be made unless it be made by thinking. And the right playing of good music must come from the right thinking of good thoughts. It may be that you will hear someone say that to think good thoughts is not needed in making good music. Never believe it! Bad thought never made anything good, and never will because it never can. In the very first days you must learn that good things of all kinds come from good thoughts, because they can come from nothing else. Here, then, is the second truth of this talk. Good music being the fruit of good thought can be played rightly only by one who thinks good thoughts. This leads us to another matter. First, let us see if everything is clear. True music is written out of good thought. Hence, when we begin to study music we are really becoming pupils of good thought. We are learning the thoughts good men have had, trying to feel their truth and meaning, and from them learning to have our own thoughts not only good but constantly better and better. This now seems simple and necessary. We see that if we would faithfully study a composer's work it must be our principal aim to get into his heart. Then everything will be clear to us. But we can never find our way to the heart of another until we have first found our way somewhere else. Where, do you think? To our own hearts, being willing to be severe with ourselves, not to be deceitful in our own eyes, not to guard the outer act, but the inner thought, not to study nor to be what seems, but what is. 59. This may seem a long and roundabout way of learning to play music, but it is the honest, straightforward way of going to the great masters whom we wish to know. In one of the books of the Greek general, Xenophon, 60, Socrates is made to say that men do nothing without fire, and quite in the same way we may learn nothing of each other, especially of those greater than ourselves, without thought, which should be pure, strong, inquiring, and kind. With this we may do all. Thus far we have two principles. Let us review them. I. Thoughts become actions. 2. Good music being the fruit of good thought can be played rightly only by one who thinks good thoughts. Now, is it not clear that this can come about only when we watch over our own thoughts and govern them as if they were the thoughts of others? And when we do not so much as endure the thought of harm, or evil, or wrong, we shall be living in the spirit of the Roman lady whose son's life was lived as his mother taught.